What is going on, YouTube? I'm the WannaBShoehead and welcome to my channel, and more importantly, welcome to the first episode of my first series here on YouTube, Let's Talk. So in today being the series premiere, I'm going to go ahead and announce the winner of my very first giveaway on my channel, which is the 8-ounce Rejuvenator Advanced Sneaker Cleaning Solution along with the all-purpose brush. That is going to be at the end of today's episode, and today's episode is going to be all about the NFL draft. So I'm going to be talking about which guys I think are going to do the best in the NFL, which teams I think should take those guys, and just what three teams I think are going to have a good draft, and what my two favorite teams are going to do. So that's what we're going to be talking about here today. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, but right now we're going to get right into it. Alright, so the first thing I want to talk about here today with you guys is quarterbacks. There's a couple quarterbacks coming into the league this year, as Carson Wentz, Jared Goff, and Paxton Lynch. Obviously, Jared Goff and Carson Wentz being the better of the three quarterbacks, and Paxton Lynch, he's kind of average, I would say. I haven't seen a whole lot on him. I've seen a lot on Carson Wentz mainly, and I've seen a little bit more on Jared Goff than I have Paxton Lynch. But of those three quarterbacks, Jared Goff is predicted to go #1 in a couple mock drafts that I've seen. And Carson Wentz is predicted to go 2. So that'd be to the Rams and then to the Eagles, Goff and Wentz. I don't think that either of those guys are worth a #1 or 2 pick. To me, if you have especially for what the Rams and Eagles traded to get those picks, if you have the #1 or the #2 pick in the NFL draft, you got to get a stud. You got to get someone who is gonna light it up in the NFL, not some guy who you think is gonna light it up in the NFL. Neither Jared Goff nor Carson Wentz or even Paxton Lynch played in a tough conference or played against real high caliber teams and played against nice defenses. None of them did it. So them transitioning from college to the NFL is just, I don't think it's going to be good. A guy that I knew was going to be a good pro was Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston lost one game throughout all of his starts at Florida State, and that one game he lost was against a fantastic Oregon Ducks team, and he played really well all the time. I know his not his senior season, but his season that he went in to go into the NFL draft, he didn't play as well as he did the year that he won the Heisman and everything, but he was still a stud, and I still knew he was going to light it up in the NFL. And with these quarterbacks, I can't see them lighting it up in the NFL. I just really can't see it. But I don't think they should go #1 and 2. I live in the northeastern Ohio area, so I heard a lot about Wentz because the Browns were supposed to take him with the 2nd pick, and I'll be talking more about their draft later. So I heard a lot about Wentz, and I was just like, the Browns are going to ruin it. They're going to ruin them having this precious #2 pick, and they're going to take this dude who I think is not going to pay out in the NFL, and they can do so much more, so much smarter stuff with this pick, and they're going to waste it on this Carson Wentz. Now, Carson Wentz could be a good quarterback in the NFL, don't get me wrong, but there's so much better things you can do with #2 pick. And then I was going to talk about how they should trade their #2 pick, and then they actually ended up doing this after I had announced I was going to be talking this series. So that took away a lot of my talking points, so I had to add a couple. Sorry for mixing up my words there. But I'm really glad that the Browns went ahead and traded that pick. I am not a Browns fan. I don't know what I'm doing today, guys. I apologize. But I am not a Browns fan. I'm a Green Bay Packers fan. I'll be talking about their draft as well. But I hate seeing the Browns' seasons just be awful. Like, I think they won 3 games this year. That is sickening. 3 games. That is awful. They used to be such a good team. Like, they have the most NFL championships out of any team before it became the Super Bowl, and now they can't even get a 500 record. I don't know when the last time they went 8-8 was, or had a winning record. It's just ridiculous. And then they got this #2 pick, and they were supposed to spend it on this Carson Wentz kid, who I thought was going to be nothing, especially when they had just signed Robert Griffin III. I think that he can be a good player, given that he stays healthy. I don't know, man. It's all bad. All right, the next thing we're going to talk about, guys, is we're going to talk about these defensive studs. We got 3 just defensive studs. Actually, I'm going to add in another one because he's an offensive player, but he's a lineman, so I'm just going to count him as one of my... I'm not going to change that from defensive stud. We're going to go from just stud. 4 stud people you can pick in this NFL draft, and you should pick given the opportunity. We got Jalen Ramsey, who I think is the best pick in this whole entire draft. Joey Bosa, who is another good pick. Me living in Ohio, I've watched him play a lot, and I think that he's a pretty good pick. Laramie Tunsil and Miles Jack. I think any 4 of those guys, if the Browns or any team has an opportunity to grab any 4 of those guys, you have to do it. If you like the number 1 and 2 pick is going to be Carson Wentz and Jared Goff. Why would you pick Carson Wentz or Jared Goff when you can get one of these 4 guys who is going to be a stud in the NFL given any team? They're going to be, I'm telling you, no matter where these 4 guys go, they're going to light it up. No matter what, it's going to happen. These 4 guys are going to be the best picks in the NFL draft, and I am predicting that the Browns are going to be able to snag one of them. The Browns have the number 8 pick in the NFL draft. That's who they traded the Eagles for. So they have the number 8 pick, and I think that the Browns are going to be able to grab one of those guys. I don't think it's going to be Jalen Ramsey. I think the guy the Browns could have a chance of grabbing is probably Tunsil or Bosa. I know that the Cowboys are supposed to take Ezekiel Elliott. He's going to the Cowboys in a lot of mock drafts, and I think that's a bad pick. The Cowboys, I've seen a couple mock drafts, and I'm like, wow, the Cowboys they're gonna have a best draft. I'll talk more about their draft later, but those 4 guys, I really think, those guys are gonna light it up. And any team, if somehow someone in the management of a team sees this video, pick one of those guys, dude. I know you think I'm just some teenager or something. Those guys are studs. They're studs. It's simple as that. They're gonna light it up in the NFL. Pick one of them. Alright, next thing, the Cleveland Browns draft. What should they do? I'll tell you what the Cleveland Browns should do. The Cleveland Browns should draft any of those 4 guys I just talked about who is going to be available at their back. There's going to be one of them available, I know, and none of them could be available. One of those guys could be picked with the 6th pick, and then the Browns will be 2 picks late. I'm telling you, one of those guys is going to be available. 2 teams are going to be like, oh, I don't need any of these guys, so I'm going to draft this kid. Who even knows what he's going to do? But the Browns need to draft one of those guys. If the Browns draft one of those guys, they will have a successful draft. I also did see that the Browns are supposed to take Paxton Lynch. You don't need a quarterback. You don't. Who won the Super Bowl this year? The Denver Broncos. Did the Denver Broncos have a stud quarterback? No, they did not. They had Peyton Manning, who was getting old, and he couldn't play football anymore. I'm going to be honest. He could not play football anymore. They had Peyton Manning, and they had Brock Osweiler. They did it purely on defense. They didn't score a single offensive touchdown in the first half of the Super Bowl, and the Panthers knew that they were going to lose because their defense was so good. Von Miller, he's a beast. The Browns need to get a guy like him, so I'm thinking the Browns should try and get Myles Jack. If the Browns can get Myles Jack, I think that their team is going to just greatly benefit from drafting Myles Jack this year. And that's what I think they should do. I think they should pick someone on the defensive side of the ball. I think Tunsil could be available, and I think that would be a good, smart pick, but I don't know if it will be the smartest pick. And also, if they pick a guy like Myles Jack or Joey Bosa, that helps Danny Shelton out. They picked Danny Shelton up a year ago in the draft. I think that was their first pick in the first round. And they picked him up, and he didn't really do anything this year. And I was even saying to this guy I work with, I was like, you know, I think that Danny Shelton can be a stud. He's big, he's strong. He might not be the quickest, but I think he can be a stud. And I think the only reason he didn't light it up was because teams didn't want to give him that chance to light it up against them. So they would send on these double teams, and they would put their best blockers on him and everything. And I think that's why Danny Shelton didn't light it up. I think if Danny Shelton has somebody else that other teams have to worry about, the other team's offensive lines have to worry about, that it will open up and help and benefit his career tremendously. I think that's gonna happen. All right, the next talking point, guys, is going to be the Packers draft. I don't know a whole lot about the Packers draft, but one thing I will tell you that they need someone in the secondary. We have been drafting cornerbacks, safeties, and more corners. I don't even remember a draft when I didn't get a notification saying the Green Bay Packers selected a corner or a safety. They just are not getting the secondary right. Their secondary gets exposed all the time. This year it was a lot better, and their defense was stepping it up quite a lot. But then their offense was like, I don't know what Aaron Rodgers was doing this year. I mean, yes, he did have 2 incredible plays, but I don't know. Or if they don't select, a corner or a safety, I think a tight end or even a wide receiver. Bring up some stud wide receiver. I know you have all these young wide receivers and you're trying to develop them, but I mean, you don't have a stud one. You have Jordy Nelson, but he was hurt, and that took so much away from our offense. So I think if we have more than one stud wide receiver, it's going to help our offense tremendously, and especially if we have a better tight end. Because Richard Rodgers, Richard, if you somehow see this again, which no one is going to even watch this really, Richard, if you're watching this, I am sorry, but you're just not a very good tight end, my dude. That's just honest. The Cowboys draft. I think that the Cowboys have the most potential to draft the best possible team this year. The Browns could also do this. Really, any team could do this, given that they have a 1 pick and then they have late picks. The Browns and the Cowboys have similar picks in most of this year's draft. The Browns are supposed to take... No, the Cowboys. That's who I'm talking about right now. Sorry. The Cowboys are supposed to take Ezekiel Elliott. I think that is an awful pick. I would not take a running back with a lottery pick or even the first round. I don't take a running back in the first round. Especially Ezekiel Elliott. I watched Ohio State play a lot, and Zeke was just... I don't know. I didn't like Zeke very much. I think that that's a bad pick. Someone I think that they should pick is Joey Bosa. I think that Joey Bosa would be a nice fit in Dallas. He'd help out with our pass rush a lot. And they could pick Joey Bosa with that pick, and then they have the 67th pick, and they could pick Connor Cook. I think Connor Cook could be the third. I think he could be the best quarterback in this draft. He might not have had the best pro day or the best college career, but he was playing Big Ten football. And to me, if you're playing Big Ten, SEC, if you're playing tough conference football, you're good, man. You're good. If you're lighting it up, especially he beat Ohio State. Ohio State had a great secondary. Ohio State really should have been in the playoffs. They were a good team. They lost some games, but they were a good team. And Connor Cook is going to be the best quarterback in the draft. And remember, you heard it from me first. I said it before anybody else said. Connor Cook is going to be a stud in the NFL. Do not sleep on Connor Cook, man. Don't do it. But anyway, the Cowboys are supposed to... I saw a mock draft where they're supposed to take Joey Bosa and Connor Cook, or they were supposed to take Ezekiel Elliott, and then I don't know who else. But I think if they took Joey Bosa and Connor Cook, their draft would be made. They could trade the rest of their picks. Don't trade the rest of your picks. They could trade the rest of their picks, and they would have the best draft by far, because those two guys, I think, are going to pay out and have good NFL careers, and Tony Romo can't stay healthy to save his life. Alright, guys, so that is it for today's episode of Let's Talk. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. There will be another episode next Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so go ahead and watch out for that video. And go ahead and like this video if you did like what you see. And again, yeah, I'm going to tell them again. Don't dislike the video, man. Don't do it. Don't do it. Bro, I just told you not to dislike the video, and you're really about to try and dislike it like that? No. Alright, guys, my camera literally just died on me. I forgot to tell you guys this, but I got a new camera. It is a camera Elf something. I think Canon Elf 160. It's a pretty good camera. I think if you guys watch my other videos and then watch like the last two, when I got my new room set up, the quality of my videos has gone up a little bit, I would say. But anyway, the winner to my giveaway is Tyler Brown. Tyler, thank you for subscribing. Thank you to all my other subscribers for subscribing. It means a lot to me seeing my channel grow like that. So thank you all. Stay tuned this week for me announcing my next giveaway. I think it's going to be a good one. And if you like this video, go ahead and like it. Or if you have any questions, go ahead and comment down below. If you want to like ask me some questions about how I feel about something, like football or something, or anything really, or what I should talk about in my next episode, go ahead and drop it down in the comments below. I will respond to you and give you the best answer that I can. Thank you guys for watching today, and I'll see you guys later.